Hello, BookTube. As some of you may know, if you subscribe to Mark's channel, Book Time with Elvis, Elvis in question being his adorable dog, not the late lounge singer who's definitely dead. If you watch Mark's channel, you know that he loves to experiment with BookTube. I mean, he does tags and TBRs and whatnot, but he also loves to try new things. And one of the things he's tried recently has been utterly charming. Some of you have emailed me and asked you, are you watching it? I've had to remind people that you learned about his channel from me. He's been reading Pride and Prejudice out loud, a group of chapters at a time, whenever he gets a chance. Like so many of you, he has this weird propensity to have a job where he has to put on pants and go to work. I don't know what's wrong with you people. But when he finds the time, he makes videos where he is reading Pride and Prejudice out loud. And they're charming. They're wonderful videos. And naturally, they open up a whole vista of possibilities. And I became intrigued, and so I horned in on the event. As is my wont to do. I told him we should read a book together. We do the same thing, only we swap off chapters at a time for our two different videos. And he said, well, I'm not so sure of that. And I reminded him that I have compromising Polaroids of his vacation in Minsk in 1971. And that brought him into line right away. Even in the licentious 21st century, he would not want those Polaroids getting out. So as a result of that good-natured bribery, we will be reading a book to you in September. How much fun is that? Well, the book is this. It's Anthony Trollope's 1855 novel, The Warden. This is a charming little story, and it is the first installment, the first book in his famous Barsetshire series. But you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to worry about how many books come after this. It's a series in name only. This is a completely self-contained and wonderful novel that you will really enjoy. If you haven't read it, you will really enjoy it. If you want to follow along with this, you want to read it on your own, whether you follow along or not, The Warden is, of course, in the common domain, which means you can go to a website like Project Gutenberg and get a copy that's perfectly well curated for free to read on your phone or your Kindle or your iPad or whatever. We still have a little time. We have a few days, and it's not a long novel. There's like 20 chapters here. So we thought we'd try something short to try this out. Of course, whether it works or not, I'm never going to let Mark go. We're still going to be reading something to you every month until I use him up. It's the way with young men. I latch onto them, I use them up, they grow old and I don't. Eventually they drop off the twig, I say a few words at their funeral, and then I find someone else and clap onto them. So I'm going to read aloud Mark into an early grave. But in the meantime, who knows what else we'll read. It'll be so much fun. But we decided to start off first with a shorter book that's extremely readily accessible. I mean, all of the books that we're going to be reading obviously have to be outside of the common domain, or in the common domain. We don't want to trample on anybody's copyright. But it's accessible also in the other way, which is that it's a light, lovely novel. You don't need to know anything about the massive pressing issues of Victorian politics that do indeed lurk in the background of this novel. You don't need to know anything about that. You're going to be enchanted. So we have some time for you to download it and familiarize yourself with it. Maybe get ready. We will read, it's Mark's series, so I imagine I'll let him read the first chapter when September starts. And then we'll swap off from there. I don't know what the schedule will be. The book has 20 chapters, and September has 30 days. So there's leeway in there for either one of us to take a day off if our schedule doesn't permit. And it'd be nice if at the end of the month we could maybe do a video talking about what we read. That would be fun. My main worry about doing this is that I very much want to preserve the method that Mark uses in reading Pride and Prejudice, which I'll leave a link to his videos. I strongly recommend that you go and listen. But one of the methods that he's doing for that, he hasn't read Pride and Prejudice before. So he's reading it for the first time and discovering this stuff as he goes along. And one of the fun parts of his read-along, in addition to the fact that he has a natural reading voice, I mean, really, it's not quite as, knock you back into your chair natural as Sean Standfast, but it's still natural. But another charming aspect has been that he is including his interjections, his own personal reactions. So he'll read something and say, oh, that was catty, wasn't it? And my main worry about this is, about doing this with him, it's not so much the first part. You'd have to search pretty far to find a 19th century classic I haven't read, so that I also would be reading it for the first time. And probably you would have to search so far that the thing you would find would be really bad. There'd be a reason why I haven't read it. But this second part worries me more, which is that if I start including my own interjections, I'll never shut up. Trollope is one of my favorite authors, and I have a lot to say about him. So I'll have to see how that goes. It'll be a good exercise in letting Mark go first. But I wanted to give you a heads up that this is going to happen, that Mark and I are going to start reading books to you. We're going to start reading books out loud. So we're going to swap off chapters at a time. We'll start with chapter 1 of The Warden as soon as September starts. Or August, I should say. August. As soon as August starts, we'll be reading this book. So I hope you join us, especially if you haven't read The Warden. It's a perfect door into Trollope. So just a quick announcement video. That's all. I'm going to let you go, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.